the Yankees either win by bunches or lose one or zero. Will the real Yankees please stand up?
Cue the music.
Oh, um, as usual. We're having a technical glitch because I can't find the music.
Okay. So, what did you just say?
Hold on. Where we at? Why can't I find the music today? Here we go.
Will the
Welcome
real
to
New
the
York
Upper Deck,
Yankees
Pinstripe
please stand?
Chronicles.
Whoop! I was still singing. Sorry, Chris. Do that again.
I say, welcome to the Upper Deck for Pinstripe Chronicles. I'm Chris, that's Lynn. And you know you're in the right place when I'm screwing something up technically.
Look, it's either you, me, or both of us. And
Exactly.
So we're just starting. I still have an opportunity. And yeah, so title of show. Will the real New York Yankees still, please stand up.
Yes.
Please stand up. Please stand up. So what the heck is going on this
What a
week?
week.
And every week we say, what a week. What a weird week, what a wild week. And this was the week of wasted opportunities.
Yes, it was.
This was our chance. And
Thank you, Spencer.
Spencer, and you're right. And may we never be the lower deck. Always go higher, and but lower is a really great word for the day, because we always seem to have to lower our expectations, which is the hardest thing to do as Yankee fans, because we're anything but about that.
Yeah.
And so to have that opportunity with the Orioles, and we're in the middle of another opportunity to just gain any kind of ground we can.
Hi, Karen.
Hey, good morning, Karen. Yes, fellow sufferers unite. It's just there's not much good to say. There are some bright spots to talk about, but a whole lot to grieve about.
There's a lot to unpack, but one thing that I was thinking about talking about today was sort of the things I've been dreaming about. We, as Yankee fans, we know we got the deadline coming up August 1st. What's your wish list? If you were looking out across the league, where does your eye land? Who would you like to see as a Yankee and this coming up after the trade deadline? I personally, right now, I'm looking at Blake Snell as my top pitcher. I know he's not perfect, but he's always been a favorite of mine. So he's somebody that I've been interested in, and he's having a heck of a season for the Padres. Not that the Padres are having a good season.
Right. And I think pitching is a good dream to have always. Although compared to other seasons, we're in better shape, and getting in better shape as time goes by with the starting rotation. And we have Rodon to talk about, for sure. For me, and I think for all of Yankees fandom, we got to get bats, and we got to get a left fielder that will stay there.
Here.
Yep. And so, and yeah, and simply because, like Elliot's saying in the chat, the batters, we got to get this team out of their hitting malaise. Elliot.
Oh my God.
Good morning, Lori. Good to see you. Yeah. So so that's why this is a time to think about, like Chris is saying, who do we dream about getting? I have to admit that I don't have in my mind who's available for trade. I'll tell you what I don't want to see in a trade package is I better not see any of the young prospects that should have and could have been up by now
Yeah,
in any kind of package to save a dime. So, I think a lot of people on Twitter are concerned about Peraza, and feeling very suspicious about the fact that we haven't seen him yet, for a very long time, and why Volpe and why haven't they brought him up or the various injuries, etc. Has them now wondering, okay, is he going to be a trade piece?
right.
So, um,
Well, if we were to make a trade, I would love to see someone like Luis Robert Jr. from the White Sox. He's someone that interests me. He's having a good year. He's a good defender. Excuse me. I
yep.
do not want to see, as you say, someone like Peraza, though, being traded for someone like Robert. That no, I'm
I
not
know,
saying that.
right?
I also like Chris Bryant. He's always been a favorite of mine because I'm a secret Cub fan, as everybody knows.
Except this weekend.
I grew up in the Midwest, so I secretly love the Cubs too. And I do love Chris Bryant, and I think he would be a good fit for left field. He's having a decent year. Unfortunately, he is injured at the moment. He has a bruised heel, but nothing serious. Anyway, anybody out there have any left fielders that they feel like they'd like to see come over after the trade deadline?
I know that Twitter's been talking about Luis Soto a lot.
Yeah. I know. So, I mean, Soto he's not going anywhere.
Yep. Spencer concurs with you on Chris Bryant. So, stamps of approval from you and Ellie. It's good enough for me. Let me get Hal on the line.
Yeah. So anyway, if we hope that the Yankees are going to make a move, if we believe in this team, and I have a question: do we believe in this team? If Judge comes back, are we a playoff team? If Judge doesn't come back, are we a playoff team? I think these are good questions. What do you think, chat? Does Judge swing it one way or the other?
Yeah, well, hey Eli, good to see you. So while the chat's inputting about that, I would just say that there's two ways of looking at this. First of all, let's remember that Judge is not God,
Right.
and doesn't have direct impact and powers to influence team production. That really shouldn't be entirely on his shoulders. And also the other thing is that we don't know um, we don't know about any other root causes that are present. We don't know factually, I'll say, for the lack of production at the plate.
Yeah.
So we have veteran guys in particular that love to hide their injuries, and so maybe that's part of it. And we certainly don't have a manager and apparently trainers that push guys on that and go to physicality questions, because in my mind, yeah, DJ's become at least spotty rather than nada. Recently, great double yesterday, but that was it for the day. You have to wonder about him with his history. Rizzo's another one, a slump to dump a dump,
Yep.
and it continued this week. What is going on with him and his chronic stuff? Who's
I don't
asking
know.
those questions?
Yeah.
Who is preemptively having examinations and MRIs and et cetera done to make sure all's good?
Right.
I certainly don't hear anyone in the press asking those questions, and they should be, rather than some of the stupid stuff I'm hearing on these conferences at the end of the games. So, and maybe it's a mixture of both. I don't think it is. I definitely don't think it's about how outstanding the pitching has been on our opposing teams. So something is rotten in the state of Denmark/Bronx.
Exactly. And I mean, the Yankees actually fell out of contention for a playoff spot this week for the first time since May 12th. And I was shocked. I mean, we fell out of contention, and we're what 7 games out, tied with the Blue Jays. I believe that I'm on the fence as to whether this team is a playoff contending team or not, with or without Judge. But the Orioles are 2 games out. At what universe does this make sense? And the Rays have lost 7 straight now.
Right.
Is anybody gonna want? Does anyone want this division?
No, and it's astounding that the other sad thing is that we are now in third place with Toronto. The numbers are exactly the same, and so we might even we're now in contention for being out of further contention because the Jays, although I don't think they're as worrisome as seasons past. They are right there on line with us, and
right.
And so and Karen's right. We can't rely on any one player.
Right.
So we shouldn't rely on Judge, and we can't rely on the ones that are consistently performing that are not on the IL. I know there's only 3 people not on the IL at this point, but we can't put it all on them. And so and Steve Schumann saying that he doesn't think he's essentially saying this isn't our year, that we have so many issues to fix. It's not going to be quick to do. And
I agree
Lori,
with that.
yeah. I'll add that I have my standing call with Hal. I can predict that he's not going to get it. I mean, that's just the thing, and we're going back and forth all the time about that.
I mean, have you addressed with him recently why we're so upset this season? I mean, I think Yankee fans, he asked the question, I don't know why Yankee fans are so upset. It's only the 3rd week in June. All right, well, now it's the 2nd week in July. It's no better. I mean, Hal, we're upset. We're confused. Do something.
Yeah, we don't even know who these guys are anymore because they're certainly not who we knew, before the season, and so yeah, we're confused, and it's your job to unconfuse us.
It is,
and look into it.
Let's talk about some bad stats. I mean, I like to focus on the positive, but frankly, Judge's 40 RBIs still lead the team. Rizzo, I mean, we could go on probably for the rest of the show about Rizzo's shortcomings since he got injured, since what happened to him, he got hit in the neck by whoever it was. So, I mean, 90 players in Major League Baseball have at least 40 RBIs this year, and not one is a Yankee. I mean, Judge is the only Yankee with 40 RBIs.
And so that shouldn't shock me, but it did.
Yeah.
And well, to get RBIs, you have to actually connect with the ball.
Exactly.
And that's just not happening.
No.
And Elliot, bless Elliot. Spencer is saying here that he still believes that they could be a contender.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's our job to believe that. I mean, I consider it my job to keep having faith in them.
I do too.
This has been a slog, and it still hurts. It hoits, really does. That where could we be? I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but where could we be right now in the standings if we had done what we needed to do with Baltimore? If the good Sevy had shown up, where could we be? If Tyone didn't show up like Cy Young's father and there and be the first pitcher per Katie Sharp with 8+ scoreless innings pitched and 1 hit or fewer allowed versus the Yankees at Yankee Stadium since Bartolo Colon in 2000. So for the first time in 23 years, it has to be JMO. It has to be Jameson Tyone who showed up like that.
Right. I know. It's unbelievable. And another speaking of bad stats, Yankee leadoff hitters are batting 233. The MLB average for leadoff hitters is 266. So not only do we not have RBI, are we not, gathering RBIs, but we're also not getting people on base. I mean, the leadoff hitters are not getting hits. So we have bad hitting, bad setting the table. These are just a few things. Yankees leading off an inning, batting 228. MLB average leading off an inning, 243. I mean, we're just way below in every statistical category.
And to be literally in the middle of MLB for this stuff is just criminal. And so what now? And now we're in an all-star break after today. And by the way, we're at like our 38th rubber game on a Sunday. I feel like every show. I guess it's better than like trying to get one out of a set, but we have an opportunity here today. But so that's our last game before the break, and it's worrisome to me. And we'll talk about the All-Star game, which is its own topic, but it's worrisome to me already what they're not going to do with these guys using this time the way they need to use it to get them straight and get their lineup straight. Because to Karen's point earlier, there's no next man up anymore. So figure this stuff out. Figure out the lack of production. Do the work to see if there's injuries that are being hidden and get those treated, even if it means everyone else on the IL. Then you know what? There's a whole farm full of prospects that can be in the show and deserve to be. And so let's figure it out. Let's give Peraza a chance. Lori said earlier in the chat, DFA JD and bring up Peraza. I mean, how many times has Lori and others say that? If we got paid a nickel for it, I know I'd be retired. So all these things, and I'm gonna have to expand my Zoom membership so that I could have 60 with Hal instead of 40 this week, because there's just so much.
Exactly. And I like Elliot's comment that he doesn't want to come off as toxically positive. But I think as Yankee fans, we want to remain positive because you want a reason to keep watching. And there are a lot of reasons to have positive feelings. Of course, we've talked all season about pitching. The pitching's been one constant, especially in the bullpen. That remains the starting pitching behind Cole, with Cole's consistent play. Absolutely don't want to change that. Rodon, do you want to comment on his start this week?
Yes.
We saw him debut for the season. It was great to have him back in the rotation.
Yeah. Actually, so I was very pleased with his first outing.
Yeah.
I think we said last week, I know I definitely said it on Twitter, we got to manage our expectations a bit. We know that he's, an ace that we grabbed, but he also needs some time to, get the rust off of him a bit. So that the fact that he went, into the sixth inning, on his first outing, before Boone pulled him at 69 pitches, I think is much more than I expected. And in that 5 1/3 innings, he gave up 2 runs.
Yeah.
Which, not a big deal, and certainly not the reason, that we're in a rubber game. We find ourselves in a rubber game. So, we want to see more strikeouts out of him. He had 2, and 2 walks, 4 hits off of him. But we also haven't seen his full arsenal, I think. I think he was just relying on his strongest at the moment, and we're going to see more and better.
Yeah.
So hopeful about him.
Yeah, that's one of the bright spots. Rodon is only going to get stronger and better, in my opinion. And so, we got Cole, Rodon, uh, Herman, to my way of thinking, would be the number three. And then I mean, beyond that, I would love to see Nestor coming back. I guess after the All Star break, he and Judge maybe coming back around the same time.
Yeah, that's
So, what?
I said. That's what I think too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Judge is going to be back. I don't think he'll be 100%, but I think he'll be back. And I mean, the team's going to perform, I hope, to a better standard after the All Star break. Let's hope. This would be great that it's a tale of two seasons where the first half was iffy and rocky, and the second half they take off like a rocket. I would love to see that happen, and I'm going to predict that right now. Rodon's going to take the Yankees. Judge is going to come back, and we're going to make the playoffs. So there you go. That's my toxic positivity.
There you go, and it's not toxic. And it's the exact mirror image of last year, where it was a tale of two seasons.
Yes.
And so may it be so. We are dead tired with misery right now, and we could just not slog our way, but just bust our way, up the ladder and not even need the wild card. I'm here
Right.
for it, and I'm full on ready to believe it. What I'll say about the pitching that I'm wondering about, is I found it really interesting yesterday that they had Herman in the pen in case he was needed. And as we all know, the pen was really overused the past two series. And so they put him in there in case he was needed. And the remark I heard from the broadcast booth was that the thought being that if Herman gets used, then Schmidt would start. And so why not vice versa? Why was it Herman in the pen and not Schmidt? Is
Right.
that telling me where the Yankees are leaning towards, who is that fifth man in the rotation? Um,
Yeah.
and why, when this is Herman, Mr. Perfect Game, we know we didn't see it after that, but what do you think?
Well, I think that's a good question. And Steve's asking, what about Sevy? I mean, what do we do with Severino? He cannot go back out there to start a game. There's no way I want to watch Severino again for, blow up.
Sevi really needs to fix himself, and he's one of the ones I was thinking of when I said they better do some root cause analysis of
Yes.
performance here and fix him, because this inconsistency is screaming at me as something has to be up physically, because he has the mentality, he has the hard work ethic. You see how he takes accountability, and every single presser, and it's got to be killing him. It's clear that it's killing him. So figure it out. Make him fess up, or take him for that MRI, for crying out loud. And
I mean, is this another Alex Manoah situation? Does Sevy need to go down? I think he does. Something needs to happen. You can't keep throwing him back out there, not and getting the same result. Let's hope that we, in fact, get Nestor back sooner rather than later, and that Schmidt and Herman can hold it down, and that basically a four-man rotation will work for the time being until Nestor comes back. I don't know.
Right, and then it becomes about the pen, though, and we're so lucky that we have the pen that we have.
Yeah.
But we don't. When we have this ball breaking second half of the season that we're predicting, we need a pen that's not overutilized, as stacked as it is.
Yeah.
And so, and Spencer's agreeing with you, Chris, that he feels like it's a Manoah situation.
It's getting to be.
Yeah, and so,
I want to bring, before we run out of time, I want to bring up the All-Star game. And you had mentioned to me, we had talked in the a little bit before we came on about whether Judge should go or not go, represent or whatever. And I guess he's not going, but fans were divided. What was your thinking on that?
My thinking was I was on the lower end of the debate. From my view on Twitter, not being a numbers girl, I don't have data about this, but um, the fan base was pretty much divided. Although more were thinking he should be there to represent. He given his past season, and that he should be there. And it was all about representation, and the fans want to see him, and
And
he
especially since there's no other Yankees except Cole representing, being represented.
right. And that's another thing. So, and I don't know if anyone in the chat could tell us this. I want to put my flag down to say that I think this is the first time in All-Star game history that a Yankee hasn't been represented. um if in fact Cole doesn't start or pitch at all during the All-Star break, it will
Right.
be the first time that a Yankee hasn't participated. And the jury's still out on if Cole is starting. You know,
Right.
there's others up for it, and a Cole is basically off. Will be like what, 3 games rested
Yeah.
by the game. So who knows? We all want to see Cole start, like Spencer said,
Right.
of course. But to think, we usually have 3, 4 guys at the All Star,
I
and,
know.
and this is fans voting. That we can't blame this on the press. This is
No.
fans voting, and people vote with their feet. So
Hey, who knows who that what fan out there that other than a Yankee fan would know who Jake Bowers is or Billy McKinney? These are not household names.
right, but they certainly know who Stanton is, who
They certainly do.
well, and so that's what I mean. So what does that tell you? They know who he is, but they also
Right.
know what he's doing. Um,
Well, I know there's some question this year, and you and Spencer definitely are going to speak to this. But I mean, is the All Star break worth watching without Yankees?
so I'm going to say, and this is a little bit of a tease towards what I'm about to put on the screen from Spencer, is it really, this is what divides the casual baseball fan from the real baseball fans. And I'm not talking by team, I'm talking by love of the game. And so, the answer to that question is, as individual, as each of us, do I intend to watch? Absolutely, because
Yeah.
even without a Yankee playing, I want to see who we're up against and potentially up against, and how they're looking. What when they're on the world stage. I want that material, and that soft data to take a look at. So I'm absolutely going to be watching it. I mean, I would feel like, I'd have to go to confession, and I'm not even a practicing Catholic anymore. I'd have to go to confession if I don't watch the All Star game. But I do think this is a good time to share. I'm going to throw it up on the screen. In lieu of a trivia question this week, Elliot has chosen to share his feelings about the All Star game and why it matters. And so, does the All Star game matter? No, it doesn't have playoff implications, but it does serve as a vehicle that drives the primary passenger, which is our love for baseball, a celebration of the game itself. In the inaugural 1933 All Star game, it put into action the answer to the question, what would happen if you opposed all the best players from the American League against those in the National League? Since fans have been given the vote, albeit in an imperfect manner, we know that today not all the best players are voted on the starting team. Most of the time, though, the fans get it right, and that should concern us, by the way, because of what we just said about no Yankees. Flaws aside, the Summer Classic is a long-time integral part of this game, not just in American culture, but global culture. It is a part of baseball's identity, and therefore our identity. As centuries change and decades roll along, it's still one of the constants in our lives. It's a tradition just like trick or treating on Halloween, Christmas trees on Christmas, and fireworks on the 4th of July. The NHL, the NBA, and the NFL attempt their own kind of all star game, but they're all facsimiles of the original. In this world, there is no all star game like the MLB All Star game. So Elliot's saying embrace it, enjoy it, love it. Enjoy one summer night of baseball for the sake of your love of baseball. And that's why he asserts this opinion.
Hear, hear. I agree 100,000%. I love the home run derby. I don't care what anyone says. I think it's a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, another great thing to take notes on, right?
Oh, yes.
And especially approaching the trade deadline. Let's that's what I'm going to look at. Although contact hitting isn't the only thing that we need. We need small ball hitting as much as we need the Stantons of the world, if not more.
Right.
We need more than just the Stantons of the world. And this is coming from like a very, very devout Stanton fan. So good. We're getting opinions here in the chat. It's still a major event, absolutely. And so Steve is saying, yeah,
That's probably true, Steve.
yeah,
That strikes me as being very true.
yeah. But it still remains, I would say, and I do agree, Steve. But it still remains that sooner or later, if we make it all the way, we're facing the NL, National League team. So, and the players we're going to see on that squad on Tuesday is going to be major contenders that our guys would have to face. So,
Yep.
So as a Yankee fan, with really nobody on the field, that's going to be my focus. Yeah, and
Yep.
let's see how our division does, since I think we're the only team in our division not represented. I could be
There's
wrong about
something
that.
like 8 Rangers. It's like all Rangers this year.
Oh, okay.
or
Okay. I'm
something.
thinking about it
I
differently.
forget, but there's a lot of Rangers on this team.
Yeah. So that'll be it'll be interesting to see the outcome. And I never really care about who wins, even when we have the All-Star game packed with the Yankees, because
Yep.
it doesn't mean anything. It's an exhibition game. So, but I do care about the performance when these guys are bringing their best because they're on the world stage.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
And
And so I just want to. It's been a while since we have talked about women in baseball. It's a thing for Chris and me to talk about it when opportunities come up, and we did a lot of it during March for Women's History Month. I really want to talk about, just very fast, that Women in Baseball Week is coming up the end of the month, July 23rd through the 29th. So right there on the screen is the website there, so that you could catch all the events. And there's information about all of the players, all of the women participating. And also, if you're not following Women in Baseball Week on Twitter, that's at W Baseball Trail. And that page is a wealth of information about all sorts of women doing great things in baseball. And so if you're interested, and you should be, because women are becoming more and more involved in the game at all levels, if not with teams, with the leaderships. So just a little plug about women in baseball and what's coming up for them.
excellent. Thank you, Lynn. And thank you, chat. We appreciate you joining us on Sunday mornings and spending your time with us. Love the ideas and sharing our long-suffering season, trying to be positive. Hopefully today brings another win. God forbid the Cubs win a series. They just won their first game in Yankee Stadium, for God's sakes. Let's not give them the series.
Yes. And so let's hope that, so far rubber games have been very, very good to us. Let's hope today is not the exception to that. And as always, thank you for being with us. And you will always have a seat with Chris and me right here on the upper deck, which, by the way, was solidly struck by Stanton yesterday, who literally did hit the upper deck with that 447 foot hitter. That anyway, so he put us on the map, and I appreciate that, Giancarlo. Sending you roses later. But thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Chad, our co-host every week, and let's go Yankees.
Go Yankees.